Hey guys, welcome to Ethan's Garage. Today you join me in a fairly rushed video because I got to drive all the way to Italy today. But we are in Budapest, one of my favorite cities that I've visited anywhere in the world. It really is just lovely here. And thankfully too, unlike most other places I've been on this trip out here in Europe, the weather's not terrible. It's actually awesome. It's pretty dry and pretty warm and sunny. So it seems like there's a lot of older cars and interesting stuff in this city. So let's just dive right in and see what they have. So I just made a beeline over to this thing. I have no idea what it is though. Some kind of very old van. Appears to be a Zouk. I am not familiar with that. That is amazing. I wonder if this is a actually Hungarian built van. That's a fun conveyance for the city of Budapest. A little backhoe. This thing here is kind of funny. It's obviously just a Daewoo, but with a poorly attached Chevy badge. I love this car right here. This is, I believe, the Suzuki Swift, which in the US was the Geo Metro. But over here never got the Geo name and was always just a Suzuki. And another Daewoo. I guess they really like them here. They are affordable, so that makes sense. This here is the amazing little Ford Ka, one of the awesome affordable cars of the European market that is now discontinued by Ford, sadly. It's a fun little street sweeper thing. I love it. That there, I believe, is a Volkswagen Phaeton, maybe of later generation than the one we got in the US. I always find these somewhat interesting. In the US, they sold this as the Mitsubishi i-MiEV, and over here they gave it two different names, the C0 and the Ion. I think this is the C0 from Citroen, but very funny, very small. And people forget that the i-MiEV, even in the US, it is a K car. It just happened to be bulked up for the US market slightly. Nice screen in this Suzuki Swift. And then we probably have an Austrian-built Mercedes ML, unlike in the US. All right, now here's some solid cars finally. Check these out. I'm not entirely sure what this is actually. Some kind of old Soviet bloc-esque car. Suzuki, Maruti Suzuki DX. And then right here, we have, looks like another one. I actually thought this was a Yugo at first, but looks like perhaps it is not. Well, I have seen a few Yugos in this trip. Yeah, another Maruti Suzuki. I wonder if that's the local sub-brand of Suzuki here. Look at the face in this Alfa Romeo. Kind of a face only a mother could love, but at the same time it has that strange alpha look that I kind of love, even though it's really bizarre, honestly. It seems that more than a lot of the other European cities, they actually do have quite a few older cars, whether it be like, 2000 era or perhaps 60s or 70s, which is kind of fun. See, we could buy these in the US, but never as a wagon. And there we go, yet another Daewoo. They're really not very common cars most places. This is definitely an intensely red Mercedes. Looks like out of those old Mercedes commercials with Santa. And it does seem like the trend will just continue and continue. Another Daewoo right there. I think that was actually sold in the US as the Chevy Aveo. And we got a BYD. Not a very fun car. This here is definitely another one of these slightly ugly ducklings, but at least they're cheap and affordable. I find it very interesting here. They have a lot of these older license plates. On the flip side, they have a all-green EV or plug-in hybrid plate as well. Here in Budapest, they have lots of these very nice kind of grand boulevards everywhere, which is always pleasant. And interesting to see the differently built armored cash transporter vehicle over there. Same exact concept as in the US, but just probably built by an entirely different company. Lots of very fun old architecture in the city. This one's in slightly rough shape, but still looks wonderful. Is that a fake AMG? I do believe it is. And isn't that just an awesome sight? These old Renault Twingos are just amazing. Especially in that color, that's fun. I've seen a couple of these around, which I'm not super familiar with. This is some kind of Mazda. I don't know if this is like a 323 or something below that. Wow, a 121. It's really cute, honestly. just past this MG. Looks to be a bunch of interesting older stuff. I believe that's another Suzuki Swift. And obviously in the US would be Geo Metro. Or Chevy Metro. Don't want to discriminate now, do I? Yep, Suzuki Swift. And this is the 4-door, which I don't think we ever got in the US. And another 4-door. On my drive here last night, I actually passed a Kia plant, so I almost wonder if this may have been made relatively close by in Slovakia. Another odd-looking European market Honda Civic. They really do look just bizarre over here. There's a car you don't really see too much in many parts of Europe. This here is an Opel something or other, but obviously, if you recognize the silhouette from the US, an Opel Antara. This would just be, I think, a Chevy Equinox in the US. And naturally, the French with the Citroën Picasso. An incredibly strange shape for a vehicle, as almost every Citroën is. And this here is the Mercedes B-Class, which is a very Euro-spec car, especially with the weird blue mirrors. But we did actually get these in America, just very, very few of them in electric form only. Like many other European cities, they have lots of very nice trams here. We got here another extremely cute dog. And more wonderful architecture. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the Passat ever came to the US as a wagon. I'm not 100% sure. I've always actually kind of really liked this smooth front end of these Passats. It's kind of a nice look, honestly. This here is basically just my car, but in Europe has a slightly different face, and they sold it as a hatchback, which they did in Canada, but never in the US. We've got this awesome long BMW 5 Series wagon here. This is a 525D, which is nice and diesely and efficient, so a great Autobahn cruiser for sure. And another Ford Ka, but this one with a nice aggressive spoiler. This here is another Suzuki, the Suzuki Alto, which seems to be somehow even smaller than a Suzuki Swift. I kind of like it though. Something kind of interesting here in the European market is Suzuki and Toyota actually have a bit of a partnership, so a lot of things like RAV4s and Corollas are actually badged both as Suzukis and as Toyotas, so it's very different than the US. I have a feeling these Volkswagen sort of MPV minivan things would not have sold well in the US. This is the Chiron, which are fairly common out here and look like nice practical cars, but yeah, I don't think they'd sell in the US. And another nice little Yaris. This right here is essentially what I have as a rental car. Even have the same interior, but this one has the extra plastic cladding. I've definitely noticed a ton of these Volkswagen Passats and Volkswagen CCs around the city. Definitely sold well. I got a fun little Renault. The Mercedes Veneo is also an interesting offering. Honestly, looks kind of like a jacked up Mercedes A-Class the same age. So we have, of course, another Suzuki Swift. This is a newer one. We also have the Smart 4.4, which looks front and back basically exactly like a Smart 4.2, but I believe is based on a Renault. We got right here the SsangYong Rexton, another Korean car maker we don't get in the US. So we got the standard American car, the Ford Focus, the much cooler European Ford Mondeo, and then a much cooler version of the Focus, the Focus Wagon, with some nice wheels, and a manual, and a slightly different face too. This here is exactly what I was talking about. This is a Toyota Corolla, but it's not. It's a Suzuki, I actually forgot the name of it. Swace, kind of an odd name. And this really is a Suzuki, the Suzuki Jimny, and a Suzuki Jimny Ranger nonetheless. They have lots of these overhead power lines here for the buses. And check out the face in this little work truck. It's a Hyundai H100 work truck. Pretty great, honestly. Kind of like it. Unlike the Germans with their cream colored taxis, they definitely go fully with the yellow here. And classically modded Volkswagen GTI right here. Lots of extra bits and bobs in that thing. I love the gold color in this Yaris. Very fun. Right here is perhaps the most exotic car. Not really much exotic, but I've seen so far. The Fiat Abarth. Another Hyundai work truck, the H200 in purple. Looks like a very big van, actually. Amazing place, Budapest. And right across the street is the Skoda Superb, a car I have become a huge fan of. Another one of those Suzuki Corollas I was telling you about. Well, I think it's time to wrap up the video, sadly. I could do this for hours, honestly, but I do have to go drive all the way to Italy today, which is a bit daunting. But luckily, It'll be nice and beautiful landscape the whole way there. But I hope you guys have liked what you've seen. Lots of fun old stuff and fun cheap Euro cars, so that's always a fun time. But if you like this stuff, make sure to go check out some of my other videos. There are a whole bunch of other car spotting videos here, and of course subscribe and all that. But I will see you all in the next video.